Effortless Engagement, How to Add Student Engagement Without Burning Out. My name is Paul Cotter. I am so glad to be hosting today. As we begin, I want to encourage you to use the chat feature. Go ahead and start out. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what school you're teaching at. We would love to hear from you. Throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter those in the chat, and we will be able to either answer those in real time, or we will answer them at the end when we have a Q&A session. All right. Hello, John from New Jersey, Karen from Pennsylvania, Kinda from Nashville. Kinda's our presenter today. Welcome, Kinda. And Lois from Connecticut. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're happy to have you with us. I want to make you aware of some of the additional webinars that we're hosting. Our next webinar is From Memes to ROI, Mastering Relationship-Driven Social Media Marketing. So be sure to click the link at the bottom of your screen, and you can learn more and register for that upcoming event. You can also search our library for any other past or upcoming events. Like I said before, if you have any questions, we will have you enter those in the chat, and we'll also do the Q&A session at the end. For those of you who are new to Stukent, our goal is to help bridge the gap between academia and industry. One of the ways that we do this is by creating simulations where students take on a role within a company and have the opportunity to test and master industry-specific skills within the safety of the simulation environment. So now we want to show you a quick video that talks a little bit about Stukent Simternships.
Welcome to Bowie.
Welcome to your new job at Aries.
I'm excited for us to be in this new adventure as business partners.
Let's jump right in. Starting out, we need you to help us allocate our Juxta Alpha suitcase inventory among our retailers for next month.
We need your help preparing for a product relaunch. Just help us create a new positioning statement and value proposition.
You will run the day-to-day business operations. Be sure to make the necessary accounting transactions. I'll send an email with the invoices, so check your inbox for them. I plan to send invoices and other business correspondence to your inbox regularly, so be sure to check it often.
On top of that,
don't forget to check your notifications hub.
It's important to answer any questions that may come from future entrepreneurs, aspiring business owners, or former classmates.
Consider these learning and relationship building opportunities.
Again, welcome to the team.
You've got this.
Best of luck.
So Stukent provides course materials and Simternships in accounting, business, communications, and of course, marketing. So go ahead and click on the link that's on your screen right now. And we want to offer you free instructor access so that you can check out any of our courseware or any of our Simternships. So click that button. While you're taking a second to request access, I want to introduce and welcome Kinda Wilson to the stage. Kinda Wilson is a marketing instructor at Oklahoma State University Spears School of Business and at Chimba, Italy. Her marketing and business experience ranges from working with corporations and nonprofits to founding startup companies. Kinda is a teacher at heart and is passionate about bringing business and marketing concepts to life for her students. Her awards include the 2021 Spears School of Business Online Teaching Award and the 2017 Excellence in Teaching Training Award from the United States Distance Learning Association. Kinda, go ahead and come on stage.
little delay, but I'm here.
You're good. Welcome, Kinda.
Hi, everybody.
All right, I'm going to turn the time over to you right now. And when you're finished, I'll hop back on and we can do the Q&A.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. And as I like to say in my workshops, welcome to class, because you will be students in just a minute. I'm kind of curious how many of you have been in an engagement workshop with me. I've done quite a few different types of engagement workshops. Usually I can tell because you're the ones like heckling me in the comment section, but you're all being pretty well behaved so far. So if we could throw that poll up, I'm curious if anyone has ever been in an engagement workshop with me before. So I'm getting some answers, and we've got at least one yes. I saw a couple of people, at least one person join that's been in an engagement workshop. So today we're talking about two of my, I hate to say favorite topics. One is my favorite topic, fortunately. One's my favorite topic, unfortunately. We're talking about engagement and burnout. All right, so two of you have been in a workshop and a bunch of newbies today. Okay, we've got, am I sharing this poll? Okay, results are public and visible to attendees. Perfect. So I cannot see any of your beautiful little faces. So feel free to comment. I will be taking questions at the end, but if you have any questions as we go, I can see the chat bar or just random comments. I love to have some interaction, or Mystery Science Theater snark, throw it in there. That's great. So I'll go ahead and open up the presentation here to start. If you've been in a workshop with me before, a few things will look familiar. We're covering a couple of the apps. We have a fully immersive and engagement workshop where we cover just a ton of activities and apps. We'll be bringing out two of my favorites for today. But the whole last half of this workshop is talking about burnout, and that's a different topic. So we'll have some interaction, though, in this one. So let me talk about a little bit about what we're going to be covering today. When we talk about engagement, all right, there's a couple of different ways that you can look at it, and people might have different ideas in their minds. So when I say engagement, there are a few different things that we're going to be talking about. We can talk about student engagement with the course content, student engagement with you, either like you talking with them in class or being like, come on, please answer, or even them emailing you questions, or engagement in class with each other. And we're going to kind of be covering overall things that relate to all of those. And I have some specific content we can get into at the end if we have time, if needed, on specific to like asynchronous online classes. Also, when we say effortless, this is talking about burnout, effortless engagement. What do I mean by that? Well, anything we talk about today, I'm specifically going to be looking at things to show you that are easy to prep, easy to use over and over again, things that actually add energy to your class and decrease burnout, which I know what you're thinking, like, come on, Kenda, like, what are you talking about? But I've specifically looked through a lot of different things, and I've pulled in my favorite items that I use in class that I use over and over so that you can throw them into class easily and have very little minimal prep time. So I need to tell you a little bit behind the scenes. Several years ago, I was working around the clock. You know, we were changing the way, like we were rebuilding classes. Some of my larger classes had like 400 students in like 350 in one classroom. We were making them like fully interactive and engaging. And I was, I don't know if any of you have ever been there where you're just, it feels like you're working around the clock, grading papers at midterm, but I was not sleeping. Like I just didn't sleep for like 5 years. I would work at the office until 3 or 4 in the morning. I was getting stressed from that, burnout from that. And then also when I was in class, like we were trying new interactive activities, and it was like some things it was going wrong. It was chaos. Students were asking questions. It was confusing. And so my stress level in the class went up as well. And what ended up happening was I finally hit a wall. And let's be honest, like I hit burnout hard. Like I like to do things in large fashion. And when I hit burnout, it was like serious health issues burnout. And so during that time, I remember thinking like, I can't keep, like, do I even want to teach anymore? I can't keep doing this. I cannot continue teaching the way I'm teaching. This is miserable. It's not working. And so I pretty much, do you say put everything on the table or took everything off the table? Put everything on the table and said like, is that the phrase? I said like, whatever, like, what do I need to change? What do I have to do differently? Because if this isn't working anymore, I cannot continue teaching this way. So 2 books I ran across, and I'll throw them out. I'm going to be quoting from one of these later, but this one was one that helped save my sanity. Has anyone read this one? This is the guy who wrote the book, Essentialism. I'm looking at it over on my bookshelf. Effortless, make it easier to do what matters most. This one changed my mindset on a lot of things. We're going to be talking about them in a minute. And the subtle art, one that I didn't expect to like this much, but it really helps me. But this is the one I buy almost everybody in my life, especially the people I know are facing burnout, but they never have time to read it because they're burning out. The subtle art. Yeah, Kelsey, that's a good book. This one right here, I promise you, you have to read it. Take time off and read it if you can. So that's kind of behind the scenes, which leads us to the things I want to talk about today is a couple of those areas that I mentioned were really stressful, some things that helped. So the first piece we're going to be talking about running class smoothly. We're going to kind of cover the gamut of some tips here. If you've been in a previous workshop with me, you've seen some of these before. And then I'm going to bring out 2 of my favorite tech apps that are free that you can use. And again, if you know me, you can predict what one of these is going to be because I use it for everything. And then that last piece, we're going to be talking about some of the mindset shifts that we can use to help with burnout and some of the things I did that you might want to consider thinking through as well on simplifying and automating. All right. Let's jump in because we've got to get to the part where you get to interact, but feel free to throw any comments into the chat section as well. You guys are very well behaved. I don't know what to do with y'all. Y'all, I'm in Tennessee. All right, running class smoothly, some overall structure. Again, how do we make it to where things in class, dropping books, how do we make it to where things in class run smoothly and when you're teaching the class, you're enjoying it and it doesn't feel like you're fighting with the students? Have any of you ever felt like you were just struggling to like get things from the students or fighting with them to behave in class? Here's some things that we do. I really recommend picking, if you do my immersive workshop or want to read through the list of activities that we have a whole booklet, repeat engagement activities. So I pull out 2 or 3 that kind of work on a variety of areas, and I use those same engagement activities over and over for different topics. That way, when we start it, I don't have to explain it. Students like muscle memory, they know what's happening. They move to do that activity. Kind of similar to that. As much as you can keep the same pattern of due dates and schedules, even throughout the week as like an arc on what's due, I found that like it decreases the cognitive load and the questions just plummet when we do that. So as much as you can keep that similar, because students, especially this time of semester, midterms, they get overwhelmed just like we do. And the things that they should know or should know about your syllabus, they forget. So as much as you can just kind of make automatic for them, that frees up some mental space so that they can do creative engagement activities in class. And this one, I know a lot of you guys are doing this already. I saw Jen in Nashville. I know she has a whole competition that she does. Jen, throw it in the comments what it's called, the competition that you do. But even in small ways, think, is there a way that I can recognize someone? It doesn't have to be a full-scale competition, but especially in business classes, the motivation skyrockets if we can find some way to gamify it. The participation competition, I love it. I love making a game or a competition or recognition out of the things that we want to promote in class. Let me show you a couple of examples of, again, just giving you some different ideas of some ways that we can do things. And I hope today, out of today's workshop, I know everything won't fit you, but I hope you pick one little like nugget from the workshop that you say, oh, I hadn't thought of that before. Let's do it this way. And this is similar, I think, to the participation competition. We've done badge integration. And again, not just first place, second place, but we've gamified badges for all different things that we want to promote, from, yes, award that can nominate each other for, even for those streaming connection recovered. I'm not sure how much you heard of that last comment, but even things like those that like pay attention quickest in class, or get quiet, the first group to get quiet when we come back to a class discussion. Anything you want to promote, let's go ahead and let's promote that through motivation, through competition. One thing I like to throw in things that help facilitate. Here's a basic leaderboard app that I found. Again, we're looking at things that are super simple to use. This one, there's a free version that has ads on it, but we used this one at ProfCon and had a professor competition. Turns out they're ridiculously competitive to an unhealthy level. Jen. But this is something that we can gamify. We can have points for anything, and you can have this up and running within 10 minutes for class. Jen, did your team win or did you lose? I can't remember. I know who won. They have a trophy. And this even simple, this one, I'll show you the countdown timer for this in a minute. But even as something as simple as just saying, you have 1 minute, name all of these things. Doesn't even have to have an award with it, but it's something that kind of gamifies it. Jen says they're not going to talk about that. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Didn't mention it. Erase that. Competition, even recognizing students. We had some students this semester that said, we've been bragging. Can you at least just recognize us? So I put on the song like We Are the Champions and gave them the cheesiest certificate ever. And they were really happy. Something super simple, but it meant a lot to them. Running class smoothly. Here's some other things that I like to do. Look at where you need energy the most in class. Again, how do we add energy to the class and decrease burnout? If you're teaching the longer classes, especially if you're doing one of those 3-hour stretches of class, there's a point when you just lose energy, especially if it's homecoming week, right? Or travel week overseas. It's a struggle. So I look, where do you need energy most in class? Sometimes it's about halfway through class. And I schedule a more extended interaction there, maybe a 10 or 15-minute interaction. Not only does it help students and wake them up, but it gives my brain a break too. Because sometimes, maybe I'm human and I haven't had enough sleep, and my brain needs a chance to breathe, because when you're teaching class sometimes, especially if it's a new topic, the focus of teaching the class kind of drains your brain energy. So one topic for extended interaction. I like to give one small activity on standby. I'll do both of these in just a minute. One sentence takeaway, or give me a GIF. One small activity that if I'm losing the class, if it's a special struggle, if I'm having trouble getting them together, I can throw one activity in and be like, okay, 60 seconds. We're talking about like a 1-minute activity. Boom, we've added energy to the class. And then just as a side note, I want to say that as something that's really motivating that adds energy to the class, and we'll talk about this in mindset shifts in a minute, but I'm sure a lot of you have done the thing where you have the students teach, either give them a topic and have them create a video on it. But even if you need to add an activity and you're at a loss, like what can we do? How can we add energy? Even just picking one topic that maybe some students haven't understood, or they needed a little extra help on. I've done it to where we pulled random items, have them bring an item from home, or in the overseas class, we've gone to the activity closet and found like 3-year-old little duck Legos. And we brought them to class and said, here's the most bizarre items we could find. Teach this concept with it. Get with your teams. You have 10 minutes. And it seems silly, but it adds energy to the class, and they think up better ideas than I've thought of sometimes. And by the end of it, they've learned the material. Someone said, will slides be available? Yes, we can make slides available. And in fact, we should have handouts as well. So any activities that we talk about, or any technology, we have all the technology and more in the handout with all the links and full descriptions of them. So that's why we can cover it a little bit quicker here. Don't stress about taking notes. I know you guys are diligent students in taking notes, which is why some of you may be burning out. So anyway, here's an example of some of the longer activities that we do, like 10 minutes. And here's an example of a really short one. So this is something I could throw in class. I know we're just starting the webinar here, but I would just throw this to the class and say, like, I haven't heard much from you guys, but I really want to make sure we've taken something away so far. I really want to like reiterate. So in the comments, create one sentence that summarizes any takeaway so far. And I would throw it to the class this way, either online class or face-to-face. So anyway, you guys in the comments, any sentence, any takeaway so far. Gamify would keep the score. Anybody, throw some stuff out there. You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. Kelsey, it's not a competition, but if it were, you are ahead with the fastest comment for sure. I get a badge. Kelsey gets a badge. Oh, we should have had the competition going. This is just a much quicker workshop, so we didn't have the full. You know what? We actually have a competition coming up. You didn't know that, but we do. It's in about 7 minutes from now. All right, one sentence takeaway. That's something that we can throw in any class for any topic. Gamify, perfect. I will move along. If you just continue to throw those in the comments if you get to them. I have a couple of more things that helps run class smoothly. And again, if you've been to one of my workshops, these are things that completely change the way that completely changed the way that I did face-to-face classes when I would lose control, especially in the larger classes, is audiovisual, adding audiovisual. We use countdown timers for everything. Any competition that we have, any sort of activity I throw to them, there's countdown timer. It does a couple of things. One thing is it keeps it structured. It keeps them focused. And I put the countdown timer at a time where it would be kind of pushing for them to get it done. So it keeps them focused. In large classes, I like to say chaos happens in the cracks. So you need to keep them focused and on time. And with the countdown timer, I add visual and audio. I add audio cues. So with the countdown timer at the end of it, I will switch over here when I share screen in just a second. I will show you what we do. But if you've been in my class, you're probably slightly traumatized because I use the same audio clip at the end of every timer. And that way, when students hear it, it's almost Pavlovian, like they know, okay, bring focus. We have 5 seconds left to bring focus to Kinda, and we need to be focused by the time that countdown timer hits 0. And what it does is it really helps everything kind of function smoothly to where that the volume pumps up on that. And all of a sudden, and again, we've gamified it to where we've promoted them getting back in their seats, but it helps organize everything. And suddenly I'm not competing with them saying, okay, guys, please sit down. Please, guys, please listen. And your voice gets higher. And then you're like, I sound like a small child. I've lost control. It brings things together and it really tightens it up. Visual, anything I'm announcing, anything I'm explaining also goes on the slides. And this is something that I can fight human nature, or I can say I've done the best I can. I need to go with what's happening in class. So even if I've explained it, what happens? Okay, teachers, what happens? You explain it twice. You say, are there any questions? They say no. Sure, any questions? No. And then you start the activity. What happens? They say, oh, wait, what are we doing? Oh my God, what are we doing? All I have to do then is point at the screen because all of my directions are on the slides, because this is just what happens and my stress level goes down. Their stress level goes down. Here are some examples. Any activity we do, I explain it to where they're paying attention. And then when we start it, the instructions go up on slides as well. And anytime we do any short activity, even this game, I don't know if Professor Weinkoff is on, I think she was coming down. I don't know if she's on the call here, but she requested Wordles for the Modern Marketing Principles textbook. So we made all the custom marketing Wordles. Every slide, every article that we have the short link, or they can scan it from their phones if it's something they can do from their phones with a QR code. Again, the technology, I like to use tinyurl.com. There's a free version of that. They have slightly different QR codes, but free versions that you can use. And then, so let me share screen here real quick and show you what I mean on the countdown timer. But then also, and let's jump into the apps and try out a couple of my favorite apps to use. So let's see. Actually, let me just show you this real quick. Okay, so tech apps. All of the tech apps that we use today, there's going to be a free version. There's a free version. There's you can use it without the students having accounts, and these are things that I can use for a million different things. So the first one that we're going to use is Pear Deck, and it's a way to just turn Google Slides interactive. So let me share screen, and then let's see, share entire screen. I know you can't see what's happening. Let me show you. Here's an example of a countdown timer that we use. We can give you full, I hope you can see this. We can give you full access to any of these countdown timers as well. But when it gets to the end, I hope you can hear this. And that's a visual and audio cue to keep things organized. Let's try out two of my favorite things. Let's try out two apps that really help facilitate engagement in online and face-to-face classes. And the first one is Pear Deck. If you'll jump over on your laptop to a separate screen and go to joinpd.com and type in this. We at least want 5 or 6 of you on here so we can fully test it out, and I can show you an example of how it works. And this is an example of something I use all the time for different topics. One student connected. All right, let's get a few of you guys on here. Joinpd.com, YQOZRL. Joinpd.com. All right, you guys are joining fast. All right. You're getting the student experience of using it for the first time. I'm away from the chat bar right now, but if anyone's used Pear Deck in class or Padlet, comment so I can know how many of you guys have used this previously. All right, joinpd.com, YQOZRL. I'm going to go ahead and start class, but it should show in the corner. Should show in the corner of the screen here. This is the join code for those of you that are still joining. All right, let's do this really quick. Gauging burnout. How burnt are you feeling at this point in the semester? How are you guys doing? Drag the icon so we can see it. Again, if you're just joining, joinpd.com. P is in Pear Deck. Joinpd.com and type in this code. Drag the, and I don't know what you're going to say here. I don't know how burnt out you guys are this semester, but I'm kind of curious. Let's see where we are. Okay. All right. This is interesting. All right. How burnt out are you feeling at this point in the semester? So you guys should be able to see all the student responses. Instead of responding, I'm going to go to the next slide here. As an instructor, you should see the next slide change as well. So I'm just going to ask you, what can you tell from those responses? So type in anything. As soon as you start typing, I will be able to see what you're typing. What can you tell from those responses that we just saw? Could not see the rest, a wide variety. What can you tell from those responses? Everyone is in the middle. They're not representative. We need some help. Someone couldn't see responses. Okay. I'm going to go back 2 slides so you can see. Those of you that couldn't see, I'll just pop back over here for a second. Here is kind of where the responses are. We're going faster than I would in a normal class, but whoops. Everyone is in the middle doing okay. A wide variety. They're not we need some help. Great variety. So we've kind of got a big, no one's completely drowning, but no one is completely motivated. Everyone needs some assistance. No one is thriving. Interesting. So this is something that I can do in a class where I'm really, where I'm really struggling to get everyone together and get responses, or even in an online class. This is a way for me to get everyone's responses, even those that tend to be kind of quiet in class. And we had one situation this last semester, where they brought in high school students to sit with the college students, and I was sort of losing control of the class. I ended up switching things to Pear Deck, and it really helped organize and bring everything in together. And my stress level went way down versus trying to like war with the students to get responses. Paul, quick question. Can you see my face when I'm sharing screen like this, or no? Let's go ahead and try one more. Let's go ahead and try one more different app. Another one that I like to use is Padlet. So this is Pear Deck. It's a way to turn your Google Slides interactive, so I can ask questions, I can have students drag responses, and I can share or hide any of the responses with the paid version as well, or I can just show all of them for the free version. Another one that I really like to use is Padlet. Yeah, what do you think, Paul? Can you see my face or not?
We can see your face and the slides.
Yes. Okay, so you can see, perfect, because I like to gesture, like, okay, perfect. Okay, Padlet, I love this because I can use it for anything. I can say, post anything. We can have columns, or we can just have them post a brainstorm session. Again, it's a way to get responses. If I'm in a large class, I'll put them in groups and have them do a response, or we can just say, answer individually. They can post almost anything. There's a free version of this, and let's try it out for something really simple. So you can see how easy it is first time using Padlet. All right, let's do this. So Padlet, you can either type in the short link, or it should, even if you're in the Pear Deck, it should show up as a website right there, or you can scan in the QR code. So tinyurl.com/ProfCon24. This is a similar one that we did at ProfCon. But we're going to do Give Me a GIF. So this one is pretty simple. again, Padlet.com or tinyurl.com/profcon24. I know we're going over this pretty quickly, but it should show up. In your Pear Deck. And what I want you to do is just click on the plus sign and click any GIF or anything we've learned about class engagement so far. Anything that describes class engagement, and vote on your favorite. So we're gonna give you about 1 or 2 minutes and see what you guys come up with. And if anybody's having trouble, I'm gonna switch back over to the webinar. Can you share a badge? Okay. I don't see anyone having trouble in here. Okay. All right. So if you would, again, we should be in the Padlet. Click on the plus sign, find any GIF or anything that relates to class engagement and vote on your favorite. And we're just going to give you a minute or two to try this out. And again, we're trying to find different ways to have students engage to learn content in a way that's easy and adds energy to the class. And a little competitive, give me all the badges. And you might want to put your name at the top because Stukent has volunteered to give a free t-shirt or other item, some Stukent swag to the winner with the most votes. I'm just saying. So as quick as you can, post a GIF, anything that relates to engagement. And I'm going to go ahead and pull, this. If you're somewhere, if you're saying like, wait, what's happening? I've just joined. I like to also put the link in the chat. So the link is also in the chat if you need to get to it from there. And here's what's happening. You guys, I would imagine, are engaged and trying to find something. Me as an instructor, I suddenly just got a burst of energy because I'm not creating this content, but I'm seeing you guys come alive and at so many options a little time. Put your name on it if you want to compete. I'm going to vote on a few. I don't know who these people are. The engagement class. Nice. Okay, I'm voting. Anyone? Nice. Ferris Bueller. Doesn't this just give you energy seeing this pop up? I'm going to leave this up for a little bit, and I'm going to come back at the end of the workshop, and we're going to see who has the most votes. Admirable pair. Okay, you guys aren't putting your name, so you might want to comment your name at the bottom of it so that add it in a comment. But you can see we can add comments. I use this especially in my design class. Anytime where I want a visual where they can find things online, we do. We'll do where we have a what do you call it? Where scavenger hunt online where they find ad designs. Anything where you want a visual, this is a great way to do it in Brainstorm. All right. I'll keep this going. We'll come back and see who's ahead at the end of this. But for right now, I'm going to go back and finish with the last piece, which is talking about kind of a shift in mindsets. All right, coming back to this in a little bit and to see who's ahead. Okay, I'm curious what you guys, Karen's is totally lost. We went pretty fast through those two, but we looked at Pear Deck and Padlet as two different engagement apps that we could use to add into class for anything. So we'll have those in the handouts and in the slide deck, so you can test it out later if you want. For right now, I want to talk about a mindset shift a little bit, but I'm curious, what did you guys think about how easy those were to pick up, having never used them and picking them up at a much higher speed than you would in class? Just your first time seeing them, like how easy were they to kind of interact with or answer a question for? And what was your first experience using Pear Deck, answering questions in an interactive way on the slide deck? Pretty intuitive, good. And that's what we go for. If it's easy, you're answering fewer questions. Yeah, students would really feel comfortable. I look for, if students are super confused using it, I'll be fighting them the whole way to try to figure it out. I love using those. And again, once they use it the first time, you can use it over and over and there are like 0 questions. And it just feels so good to use it in class to add that burst of energy. And they're free versions. So those are 2 apps, and we have a list of like all of the tech and apps in the handout as well. But I want to talk about some mindset shifts as well. When we're talking about adding engagement and how are some ways that we can get that burnout slide that we talked about, how are some different ways that we can get from the I'm drowning slide, part of the slide, to more to thriving. Somebody mentioned like no one is completely thriving. And a couple of things. One of these are going to be from the book, it's Effortless, Make It Easier to Do What Matters Most. And I really want to give you guys a little homework on a couple of things. And one is to think through what assumptions that you have about engagement in teaching. And I didn't realize some of the deeply held assumptions that I had about the way class had to be and the way my teaching had to be. One assumption I had was, if I'm not really like struggling, if I'm not like really working hard on everything, then I'm a failure as an instructor. If I'm not creating new things all the time, if I'm not making each and everything over the top, then it's not good. And what I want you to look through is see which of those assumptions are true, and flip it and say, what if the opposite are true? This is one: effortless inversion. Trying too hard makes it hard to get the results you want. Not everything has to be, what was this? Not everything needs to be the extra mile. And that kind of blew my mind, because I was raised thinking like everything has to be the extra mile. And we're going to talk about a time audit in just a second, but what assumptions do you have? Like, is there a way to do things in class that would be fun for you and fun for them? It almost felt like cheating the first time that I did like a student created content or student teaching. But then I found out they were learning more. What if it could be fun and easier for me? Because none of us are slackers in this group. You're here to workshop. My thing is, I don't want us burning out. I want us to have plenty of energy so that you can thrive at what you love to do and what you're great to do, what you're great at doing. Student input, again, how can we bring students in? How can we have them be a part of ideas or feedback or content creation? One of the things that's the most popular in class is actually the student created design memes. And we have a competition for that. And we say, you want to live on an infamy, create a design about a meme about this topic. And they love it. And then I can use it in future classes as featured student designs. I love it. It gives me energy and them energy. Anytime we do a new activity, we have a student debrief and we say, hey, we do one activity new a semester. What are things you had confusion on? How can we make this better? Because we want class to be better and better every semester. And they give feedback, and the confusion goes down further and further every semester. How can we use student input? And then one of the other thing that this book, another thing that the book did that really helps is, why should we simply endure essential activities when we can enjoy them instead? So I want you to think about the thing that you hate doing the most. And you can put it in the comments if you want. Like, for me, it's grading final projects. What is it that you hate doing the most? Is there a way you can make it more enjoyable for yourself? Grading papers, yeah. That's in the large classes when we hit 100 students and up, it's rough. And I have some ideas on that in just a second as well. So I look it up, like I grade those papers at coffee shops or in the park, because I don't want, there's a thing that happens psychologically with us with small t trauma, to where we're almost putting our bodies in mini fight or flight when we make ourselves like sit for 15 hours grading when we don't want to be there over and over. So how can we shift that? How can we move it or make it, not saying like get a good big bottle of wine, maybe not too much wine, but get your favorite cookies. How can we make this less miserable for us when we're doing it? Side note, for mental health, gaining margin in mental health, hydrate, pack small protein bars, especially in the long classes. Do any of you pack protein bars or anything similar? Because what happens is I forget to eat, and the students come and ask me questions on breaks, so I never get a break. When you send them off to cheese and apple slices, yes. So what I do, Kelsey, is I will, when we send them off to the 15-minute activities, I'll say, hey, I never get a break. I want to promote good mental health here and physical health. I'm stepping outside for 1 minute in the classroom and I'm taking a bite of this protein bar, because we all need to be in our best health. I have a new show, so until I finish grading, Lincoln's Lawyer Season 3. Jen, that's amazing. Putting on your favorite TV show in the background, but then you get sucked into the show. I may have had Love is Blind on the background when I was doing some papers this week. Side note, edit that out of the video. And the last thing, hydrate, treat yourself well. The last thing I want to bring out here is time audit. I really recommend this. This really helps change the way I structure class. I'm saying really a lot. Time audit. What are you spending the time on? how much, like, what is your time going to, does that time equal the value that it's bringing for the things that you're creating for class? Some of it maybe yes. I found I was creating, like, spending 5 hours a week making these custom animated videos to announce winners. It doesn't bring that much value. No, like, what can we do? Where's the vast majority of our time going? And then look at those items and say, is there anything that's not bringing as much value? Honestly, is there anything I need to remove? Then what can I simplify, streamline, or automate? So those are the 3 questions I ask. What can I simplify? The one where I was making the custom animated videos, not everything has to be over the top. This is hard for me because I think, Paul will tell you, Paul will be like, that's right. I think everything has to be over the top. But I realized I could just do a screenshot of the winners and a little trophy icon and a certificate. That brought the same value, and I got time back for my life. What can I simplify, streamline, or automate? Let me show you just a couple of examples here to finish this off here of a time audit. All of the things that you spend time on. Grading was a huge chunk of my time. For my classes that were 100 students and above, grading final projects, 50, 60 hours, it's too much time. I didn't have time to sleep or eat. And when it hits your health, that's a problem. So here's some different things I found as ways to streamline. And I want you to comment if you do this as well. For grading guides, I found that no matter how much I taught and how much I answered this specific question, we had the same issues over and over with some of their projects. So we started doing grading guides where I would write out a paragraph. Before, I was writing these huge paragraphs to every student, whether they wanted to read it or not. Now I can see they didn't get hierarchy, boom, copy and paste the paragraph over, tweak it if I need to. And one of the assumptions that I had was if I wasn't suffering, it wasn't good. It's the same value to them if I was going to type the thing out by hand anyway. Streamlined. So I have grading guides, and the grading is so much simpler now. Boom, copy, paste, tweak if I need to. It's the same grading quality and value to the students. It decreases my stress. Similar as grading guides, I have email templates. Again, this feels like cheating, but we're emailing them the same thing every semester. Here's the guide. And then the last thing, the way that we help streamline and automate, I don't know if you guys do this or not, but for the large classes, we actually create a separate class email. And then I put templates. Again, no matter how many times I told them or did quizzes over the syllabus, they had the same questions. We now have streamlined folders with templates for their questions. Here's the question they ask. Here's the copy and paste template for the answer. And then we have boxes for the emails saying follow up with, student concerns, or here I've answered the questions. And it allows me to pop the email straight over to the follow up with. My stress level goes down. We're able to track everything a lot more smoothly, and the students actually get better quality engagement with me than before. So think that through, like, what are the things that I'm spending my time on? Is there a way to simplify, streamline, or automate? And I'll just go ahead. Any questions? But also, I want to share screen real quick just to see what we have for Give Me a GIF winner. We have, I think, Ferris Bueller is our winner. Compassionate Trout. Who is this one? You can't all comment that it was you, but who put Ferris Bueller into? Was I sharing screen? Oh shoot, it didn't. Sorry guys, tech difficulties. This is called real life teaching here. Who is the Ferris Bueller one? We're going to put it in the comments, and we're going to give you a shout out and some swag. Bravo. Everybody give clap to them. I miss hearing your voices, guys. I feel like we need some, like, yay. I should have music. I have a banjo over here. I can pull out the banjo if we need to.
Do
we
it,
can
do it. Yeah.
Well, when we find out who that was, Kennedy's giving them some claps. Whoever, Lacey says it's me. Lacey, congratulations. We did that at a super high speed, but you saw just a little bit how it was interacting. Do we have any questions? I hope that something resonated with you, and read this book on mindset shifts. And if you have any questions, we have the handouts, and shoot me an email. I'm here. All the questions we have. all the answers.
Kenda, awesome. Thank you. We do have some questions that we've been
Okay.
tracking during the event,
Oh.
and I'll read those for you, okay?
Okay.
How can I tailor engagement techniques to suit students with different learning styles or interests?
Different learning styles or interests. Okay. Do you mean activities like the engagement activities in class?
Yes.
Yeah, I think some of these are kind of universal. I do. Okay, so I do some of these in ways that it will be really good for maybe introverts in class. So sometimes we'll do where they answer individually, like you guys just did. That way, everyone in class, even if they don't like speaking up, they can have a chance to answer. And then I also like to do some items for our visual learners. So those that like building things and creative, those items where we have them like teach on their own. So we kind of think through how are they learning, and then what types of learning do we want to reinforce. So some of the activities will be kind of reiterating the concepts, and some will be at a higher level of learning and say, okay, take what you've learned and create something out of it. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not, but we definitely, I think using some of these apps will pull in some of your introverted students that you haven't heard from before when you do those.
That's great. This next question addresses larger classes versus smaller.
Yes.
And so do you change any of your interaction or those techniques based on the size of the class?
I love that you asked that question. I feel like that was a question plant because we specifically created these items and the things I showed you to work at classes of, we tested for 3 to 50 to 400 were the largest classes that we were doing. So the things that I've told you, putting those items with the countdown timers in and the audio, like they become more important in the larger classes. So the larger the class, the tighter you plan. I mentioned chaos happens in the cracks before. So you use the same concepts, they're just more important. And also I shift more to the apps using, it's because you can't really call out to all the different groups to get feedback from all of them. But I shift more to those two apps when we have the really large classes face-to-face, because I can get simultaneous answers and then we can have another learning experience from seeing all the answers at once.
Yeah, that's great. How do you measure the impact of those engagement strategies on student outcomes?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I have not specifically done research on like quantifiable research. A lot of the, so I don't have specific research on that. But for me, it's, I'm seeing it in class and I'm seeing how their learning has changed, how they interact with it, and how quickly they understand it. So I'm seeing it more anecdotally as an instructor, but I don't have a large scale study with these specific techniques versus learning outcome scores. But that would be good for me to look into to get. Is that what the question was?
What are some of the results you've seen, just unofficial?
Oh my gosh. When I think using these using some of these activities, it switches it from just answering a multiple choice question to them struggling with it a little bit more and becoming, I've seen them be drawn into the material more and energized where they were kind of zoning out before. And also then when we do the one sentence takeaway at the end, I can see what they've learned from the material. And what I found is them remembering these things from the activities even years later when I run into them. Whereas honestly, I can't even remember a lot of classes that I took in college. So what I found is like, I've seen that from them getting the concepts, be more bought into class and engaged. There was a semester when I was doing these activities and engagement items, and then also teaching a class kind of normal stand and deliver with none of it. And it was like I was running a science experiment because the feedback on the teacher evaluations were vastly different. I felt different teaching it. They were interacting different. And you can just tell it was like night and day. And I said I would never teach a class without it again because I was miserable at the end of one and they were miserable too. And the other class, they were engaged and bought in, and they were doing more than what I required because of the competition. And that's when you see it, when they're engaged to where they're going beyond what you ask, so they can like win the award or do something, do something crazy so that we can stand out. That's when you know they're bought in.
Yeah,
So
those are great results. Okay, looks like one just popped up here. What is your experience? How many times do you have to make your students use the apps during a 90-minute lecture?
Okay, so during a 90-minute lecture, I will do at least one of the longer activities. It kind of depends, like if we're on a review day or if we're teaching a new concept. But I'll have at least one long activity in the middle to really split it up. And then some of the smaller ones, it honestly just depends how much they're, like I'll have one or two small things at least that I have in my back pocket planned. But honestly, if I've completely lost it, if it's homecoming week and they're really struggling, it may be every 5 to 7 minutes I'm saying, okay, 30 seconds, get with your groups. Give me your favorite brand to order online from. Something like that I'm throwing in every 10 minutes to keep them awake and going at least. So some of that may vary a little bit, but at least one large activity.
So Kinda, it sounds like you have all these resources that you've used and you're really playing it in the moment on what the need is of the students. Is that kind of how you run it?
And
based on their engagement levels?
Well, I have the class planned, but when we talk about adding energy, those little small items like get with your groups, one answer, 1 minute, when you have your answer, have a group member stand up. Something like that is just a way that if it's a rough class, maybe at 8:30 in the morning class, and they've just had a travel weekend and they're just out of it. I can throw that in. It takes me no extra prep work because all I have to say is the thing that I just talked about, pricing strategies. We just covered pricing strategies. What uses fixed cost price? Like what uses value-based pricing? Name as many as you can in the next minute. Like I don't have to think of anything new. I don't have to prep anything new, but if they're really struggling, I'll throw those in just to kind of it does a couple of things. It gets them energized, but also it just reinforces what I just taught them, repetition for their learning.
Yeah, that's great. One last thing here, our friend Jen is asking, do you give digital badges? And if so, where or how do students keep or use them?
Oh, okay. If we're using, so we had an app that we were using for a while with the custom badges, but if you're just using this free version here of the one that I just showed, Keep the Score, like if you're just trying to do something with almost no prep work, I just on the last round made a list of the badges that they could earn, and like say like they're worth 2 points each. Every week we would just while I brought the leaderboard on the screen, click the points that they had earned, and they could see them move up and down the screen, and we would just keep track of it. A couple different ways that we did that. We tried different ways of keeping track of it, of putting it in their weekly assignment, or different things. But we had we had it going as kind of a separate badge competition for points, not specifically that they got that many points every week. But that was way that we did it that was the easiest way to start it up, just making a list of the badges and during the class, move them up and down the scoreboard so they could see visually in front of them how those things were helping them out. That's one way that we did it that was probably the most simple, that was almost no prep work and zero startup costs.
Great. Well, Kinda, thank you so much for sharing with us today all these insights and all these tools that you use. You're so engaging. You're amazing. Thank you. We also want to remind you if you'd like instructor access to any of our simulations or courseware, click on the link. If you don't know, Kinda is the author of our Marketing Principles courseware, and that's one of those that you can receive instructor access for. At Stukent, we host many virtual events, and if you're interested in hosting one of those, or if you know someone who has a great topic, we'd love to hear from you. So please let us know. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. and for your participation in the chat. Thank you so much, Kinda. Everyone have a great weekend, and remember to stay current with Stukent. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for
Bye.
interacting. Great class, guys. You were great students. Can we get Lacey's info so we can send Lacey some?
We will get that.
Get your swag, Lacey. That's right.
Thanks, Kinda.